Dr. Merwe, thank you very much for your time this morning. So, is this a new development? Have we heard from mainstream developers, pharmaceutical companies who develop these vaccines that it is indeed safe, or is that not up to them to decide?
Good morning and good morning to all the viewers. The data at the moment is very limited, and I will get to the data, but if you would allow me just to maybe give one step back and to just touch on the context between pregnancy and or of COVID in pregnancy. And I think the first very important thing is that we should not cause anxiety amongst pregnant women and just inform them and assure them that they do not have a higher risk of getting COVID. However, we know that women who do get COVID are at an increased risk of more severe illness. We know their likelihood or risk to be admitted to ICU, to require mechanical or ventilatory support, and to die of COVID is higher compared to non-pregnant women. In addition, there are also some adverse pregnancy outcomes. They are at higher risk to develop things like preeclampsia, stillbirth. They are at high risk to have a preterm delivery, both before 34 and 37 weeks of gestation, and they have a higher risk of cesarean section. So that, I think, is just important to put the context of COVID in pregnancy, and I think we can now move to the vaccines and maybe just address 4 issues about vaccines. First of all, I think safety. Most women want to know whether it is safe for them to get the vaccine. The second issue would be, are they at a higher risk to develop side effects or adverse effects of the vaccine? Third issue, is it effective? So let's look at the efficacy data. And then obviously huge concern for women who want to fall pregnant is whether getting the vaccine might be a cause of infertility. So I think the most important thing to put out in before we start talking is to just say that there is not a lot of data available at the moment, but there is some limited data available, and we expect much more data to emerge over the coming months. So,
Dr. Merwe, I'm going to jump in here because we are running out of time, and I want to get to the essence of what the message that we're sending. So essentially we've said risks of not vaccinating are quite high, because if you're pregnant, you are more likely to develop serious COVID-19 or be hospitalized. There is no or little clinical data as yet, as you've said. So how do we make that decision, whether it's safe for mothers, pregnant women, to take the vaccine or not?
Yeah. Just so to touch on the data, there is some animal data. 3 of the vaccines were used in animal studies in rats, where it was given prior to mating and during gestation. And the reassuring data that emerged from those studies is that there were no adverse outcomes with regard to female reproduction, fetal or embryonal development, or postnatal development. We do have limited data. There was a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine recently, which looked at preterm birth, congenital anomalies, small for gestational age, and neonatal death. Yes, it was a small number of women, only 275 pregnancies. But the good news is that there were no differences. The rates of those outcomes were similar to that what we see in overall rates. There's also at the moment no data to suggest that spontaneous miscarriage is at a higher risk of women who get the vaccine. In addition, we know that there are very good antibody responses when the vaccine is given to pregnant women. I can reassure women that the vaccine is not transferred to the fetus or to the neonate, but we know that antibody levels are across the placenta, so there is some protection for the fetus, and it also the antibodies are excreted in breast milk, so the neonate is therefore also protected by the antibodies.
Dr. van der Merwe, before I let you go, one last quick question. These recommendations for pregnant women to get vaccinated after 14 weeks of pregnancy, are they in line with international accepted guidelines?
Yes, I do think so. We have limited data to give it earlier, but I am actually optimistic that emerging data will come out to show that we will even be able to give it at an earlier gestation. It is in accordance to many international bodies. I recently read the American College of ONG guidelines, and they also come out very strongly to vaccinate pregnant women.
Thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate that.